So what will you do when the party's over? So what will you do when the party's over?
Hey, welcome to Third Man in the Ring. This Happy New Year's. This is 2025. This is going to be 3 years. Remember my first interview was one of the top referees in the world, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion. We did a tribute to this man, but you know what, guys? This is a really pretty much a tearjerker for me, man. This guy is my friend. We already know who we're talking about, Jack Reese. He retired. When I heard this news, guys, I'm not gonna lie, man, it really, like, wow, why? But we just did a tribute. You'll be seeing it on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. But today we're gonna talk about Jack Reese's career. So I want you to give him a warm welcome to retired Jack Reese. Come on in, Jack.
Hey, Ray. Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it. Very nice of you.
Yeah, please sit down, man.
Absolutely.
So before I get started though, guys, I want to say, if anybody has a problem with this New York accent, get at me and I'll try to interpret for you, Yeah, there you go, subtitles. But hey, Jack, again, brother, I can't tell who told me. I'm sure you know who told me, but when he called and he said, hey, Jack's retiring, I was like, wow, bro, I felt like somebody passed, brother.
That means the world to me. That's one of the nicest things people have ever said.
Before we get into your career, I mean, how many world titles? 158?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
158, guys. Can you believe that? 158. He's been all over the world, done some of the mega fights. But before we get started on why you retired, I mean, let's just talk about the fights. We opened up with the heavyweight title, Tyson. Him and his father spoke well of Jack Reese. And you guys know Jack. He's been in all the big fights. He's our mentor in California. Not to mention, he gives these classes and officials from all over the world come. Am I right?
Yeah, we had about 200 so far already. And people from Poland, Germany, Mexico, Canada, quite a few, and other places, and more people inquiring already for the next class.
So you're still gonna be training referees, right?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So hey, Jack, tell the fans, why'd you do it when you were already on the top of your game?
So as you get older, you start monitoring yourself, and you wonder how much longer you can go, and when's the right time to retire. And I noticed a trend in professional sports altogether, all kinds of sports, but especially fighters and officials sometimes go way too long. They stay way longer than they should.
Yeah.
And when they leave, they're a shell of themselves. And I didn't want that for myself. I've watched some fantastic referees with unbelievable careers, and you know who I'm talking about, make horrendous mistakes towards the end of their career. And, I'm coming up on April, I'm coming up on my 69th birthday. And I thought, you know what? Why not go out on top? Why not go out the way I want? And I was very fortunate, as you know, the 8 to 10 months prior to retiring, I had Haney Prograis, I had Zerto Ramirez, Navarrete, and then I finished it off with the Terrence Crawford fight. Everything went well on all the fights, and I said, what am I hanging around for? Everything went great. Go out in a good way, and I figured it would be a good time to do it and just redirect my focuses to now judging and more to teaching.
So, I mean, is it fair to say that on that day, or did you think about it before? Was it in your mind already prior?
I totally knew it was going to be my last fight.
Wow.
And I just didn't want to tell everybody because I didn't want a big deal made of it, but you guys did. Anyway.
Yeah, we had a big wingding for him, man.
But I was just trying to go quietly, and it was a personal thing. Just like, when you're ready to go, it'll be a personal thing for you. I had discussed it with obviously the boss, Josephine.
Yeah, Josephine.
And she kept saying, when are you going to retire, Ray? You keep telling me you're going to retire and you don't retire. And I said, I'm just waiting for the right spot. And I knew I had these fights coming up. And I took the opportunity to do it when I did it.
Hey, that says a lot about Jack. Because again, like he said, some refs, they just go too long. You know what I mean? They start making major mistakes or they can't move right, you know, so.
Can I add to that?
Yeah, please.
So, and one of the things that helped me with my decision is I've watched older referees, guys older than 65. I've watched them fall flat on their face trying to stop a fight. I've watched them not being able to hear the bell or the 10-second warning at the end of the round, not being able to pick up a mouthpiece that came out of a guy's mouth, not being able to get on the ground and count in front of the fighter's face because they had fear that they couldn't get up, and a whole slew of other things like compromising themselves, not staying close enough to the fighters. I didn't want any of that stuff for me. I wasn't there. It didn't happen. And I said, good time to go.
Good time to go.
Good time to go.
Man, I pray to God, man, I know when it's time to leave, you know.
And Ray, it's hard. You know why? Because you fight your own ego. You do great in the fight, but you know it's time, but your ego says, you just did great. People are telling you look great. But Father Time is undefeated, and you'll know in your heart when it's time.
I mean, you still look in good shape.
And that's why I'm glad I went when I did. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right, you know. And like what have you always told her? You only remember as your last fight.
Yeah.
And you shine like you look good, man, in your last fight, you know. So
stay out of the way and let them fight.
Props. So Jack, tell the fans, how many countries have you been in?
Oh, I don't know. Quite a few. I've been very fortunate. I'm a guy from Brooklyn, and places I've traveled and the things I've seen because of boxing has been unbelievable. I walked the Great Wall of China, and I've refereed in Moscow and places that I never even dreamed I'd ever be in my life, and probably a dozen different countries, maybe a little bit more. I don't even know.
And what big out of the country title fight sticks out? Does any particular fight stick out in your mind?
Yeah. Crazy story. You know, I got sent by the WBC to Thailand to do a fight, and they treated us wonderfully. When I went there, I wasn't really prepared for the humidity that was in that place.
Oh yeah.
It is unbelievable. And after this, I'll send you the picture. Maybe you could put up this. But I looked worse than the fighters when the fight was over. I'm standing there holding the winner's hand up, and there's not a part of my body that isn't soaked in water.
Yeah.
And I must have looked, this white boy must have looked so bad because there were elderly women sitting around the ring that came over and were pulling my pant leg between rounds and handing me cold towels to put on my face. I must have looked that bad. And when you see this picture that was in the Thailand newspaper the next day, I looked like I was ready to be horizontal and 6 feet under, man.
Yeah.
It was hot.
Yeah, I've been there one time hot. And it was real bad.
Brutal. If you're not used to that humidity, it was brutal.
So on another note, you know Jack was a fire captain, right?
Fire captain, yeah.
LA Fire Department,
Los Angeles City Fire Department, yep.
And you know, he went to 9/11 after it happened, and he served there to. I mean, this is your hometown. I mean, I know in the last podcast we talked a little bit on it, but can you just give a quick little testimony on the ugliness you've seen there, the death and the destruction? Well, I want to make this a awesome interview, Jack, but I want to honor you because you retired. I want to honor you that took a lot, man. It took a lot.
Well, I appreciate it, but I really look at it, I was fortunate. I was one of the ones chosen to go back there and actually contribute. So I was blessed to be able to do it. And it's interesting, just like, you know, when we're getting prepared for a fight, especially when there's bad blood, you don't know what to expect and your mind's playing tricks on you and you're wondering. Well, when I got the approval to go, when they said to me, would you like to go back? I said, hell yeah. And I'm getting stuff packed, and it was a day or so before we got going. And even at the airport and getting on the plane and flying over there, you're anticipating it's like a horror show. You're thinking all these crazy things. You don't know what you're going into. Anyway, when we got there, we were with a team of other LAFD firemen and stuff like that. And I was fortunate that when we got to ground zero, I helped, because I grew up there, I knew my way around, and I helped get 45 members credentialed. You had to do this stuff that you had to get some stuff sent to Washington, D.C. and back that you're all okay. And after I got the credentials, one of the chief officers, two of the chief officers that were there already a day before us, said, Jack, you want to go see the pile? You want to go see Ground Zero? And it was twilight on Friday afternoon. It happened on Tuesday. This was twilight at Friday night, and just me and these two guys went. And I stood on the pile for about 45 minutes. It was like the most solemn, imagine a funeral times 10 with how quiet it could be, and people just mulling around, no one saying a word to each other. The devastation and the destruction was unlike anything I'd ever seen before. And growing up in New York, to see these 200+ story buildings reduced to nothing was hard to comprehend. And the best way
I can't even think of it.
The best way I could describe it, that shocked the shit out of me. I stood on this pile, and you could see terrible things of people that didn't survive and stuff, and you saw shoes and bits of clothing. But after standing there for a long time and looking and assessing what had to be done, let me back up and say this. Mentally, I went there on a rescue mission. We were going to rescue people, right? But after standing on that pile for 45 minutes, I realized it's nothing but a recovery mission, that there was no one else coming out of this thing. And the reason I say that is 202-story buildings, and I did not see one toilet bowl, one file cabinet, or one doorknob intact. I never saw any of it. It was pulverized, and all you saw was rebar, chunks of concrete, and just a thick layer of dust. And obviously some other things that aren't too pleasant to see. But I can't believe a toilet bowl or a file cabinet or a doorknob didn't survive. But that was the mass of destruction and power that this thing came down with. And I knew there were pockets, because this thing sat on top of, both buildings sat on top of the New York City subway system. So there was layers and layers and layers below that, and the only possibility was that some people might have been trapped below there. But that was far out of my scope of responsibility. I wasn't a tunnel rat. I didn't have a dog. So we just did some recovery operation, help people move the dirt and move the rock so they can get to bodies and things like that. But it was just the worst thing I've ever experienced in my life, because of what happened to this country.
Did you know any of the New York firemen that lost their lives?
I did not directly know any of those guys. The saddest part about it was there was a guy I worked with directly. He was my liaison to the New York Fire Department. I was his liaison to FEMA. That's just the way it worked at this thing. And he was on what's called light duty. He was injured prior to this, so he was working light duty. He was there to search for his brother, and I was with him. And they never found his brother. They just found some parts of his brother and identified him. But me and him were tied up by the hip and did a lot together. And it just wasn't good.
Well,
he made some great.
We thank you. I know we all thank you for doing that and going over there and giving your time. You know what I mean?
It really was an honor, Ray. I think anybody that we know would have jumped on the opportunity. Would you like to go help in New York?
I mean, let's be honest, though. Let's be honest. You didn't know what was going to happen after the attack. There could have been more attacks. So it wasn't like, I'm going to go volunteer. You know what I mean? You're going into danger, bro.
And I'll tell you a crazy story. So there was, I don't know how many of us that on the plane going over from my department at that one time, maybe 20. I can't remember at this time. But so, I mean, it's your mind works strangely. But we're boarding this plane. The rumors were that this is some Middle East terrorist group did this to us. The reports were coming out, and that there's the big thing in LA. There's more coming. LA was targeted. Other places were targeted, and we're getting ready to board this plane. And here's like 4 Middle Eastern men between the ages of 20 and 40 or something like that, wearing the garb of someone from the Middle East. And we're all looking at each other, and it was the weirdest thing.
I'm not laughing. I'm just like, wow.
You know what was the weirdest thing? there was a couple of guys like us that were thinking ahead, you know?
Yeah.
And I looked up and we looked at each other and I said, I got this guy on left. He was talking about what we're going to do. These guys make any moves. We were going to be all over these guys like you wouldn't believe. They weren't getting to the cockpit, but that's the thought process of the firemen I was with, and fire women too, firefighters. So it was just a strange, whole strange event, obviously.
And with that said, fans, Jack's a badass. Let me brag on him, because he won't. You know, he was a kickboxer, and I'm sure you could see the picture right now with Jack with his leg way up here. You know what I mean? And let me tell you a quick story. I went to Jack's retirement party at the fire department, and apparently Jack would, had some issues at a training. Was it a training?
Yeah.
All right. And Jack's Jewish as well. And how sometimes people have this anti-sentiment. Is that how you say it?
Good enough. Close enough.
Yeah, close enough.
Anti-Semitic. But
so they were trying to get tough with Jack. And at his retirement party, one of the fellas got up there and said, man, Jack's a badass. He stopped the whole training camp, said, any of you mother effers want some, come on out. So I always knew Jack was a tough guy. So when you say, he wouldn't have done nothing on that plane, I guarantee you he would have, man. I guarantee you he would have.
Oh, well, thank you. Your story is actually better than the real story, so I'm just going to leave it at that. How's that sound?
Like everybody was a tall midget or something?
Yeah, a small person.
But with that said, Jack, let's turn into some of your highlights of your fights. Let me ask you, I got a couple of fights here where you were trying to get guys out. How did you deal with that with Smith? You remember Smith versus Barrera? When you noticed that Barrera, or was it Smith, that wasn't fighting the way he was supposed to fight?
Yeah.
And this is where referees, especially you young referees, especially you amateur referees that are trying to get a fighter out that's not necessarily saying, I want to get out, but his body language. And talk to us about Smith and versus Barrera.
I give it to you. That's a great question to ask of an official and stuff like that, to let the fans know what's going on. So I had refereed many of, a couple anyway, at least of Smith's fights.
Excuse me, and we're showing the video right now. So as Jack's talking, you're watching the video.
So I had refereed his fights, but you'll back this up. So refereeing in today's world is a lot different than refereeing 20, 30, and 40 years ago. We get the opportunity to watch tapes of the fighters on YouTube and stuff like that, and get to see their tendencies, maybe the things they do that aren't so legal, so we can nip them in the bud in the dressing room, tell them that's not going to be acceptable, to try to get a more cleaner fight and let a fight go to its natural conclusion so we don't have to intervene. So I was very familiar with the way Joe Smith fought, and I knew the backstory on Sullivan Barrera. I watched a bunch of his fights. I think I had refereed one of his fights prior. I can't remember right now. But anyway, Joe just looked flat. And you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. A guy who was normally coming forward and throwing the harder punches looked totally flat. It was a point where he was throwing only arm punches. And more importantly, he was taking a lot of damage. And this went on for a few rounds. And I was getting concerned. And in between rounds, I went over to Paul Wallace. And, me and Paul went like this. And we were both looking at Smith. And I wanted to start.
Paul Wallace is our chief doctor, ringside.
Ringside physician, the best in the business. And anyway, Paul, I wanted to make sure that what I was seeing, Paul agreed with. Sometimes we do that, the fans might not know. We're not alone in there. We have a team of people around us that keep us in check, in focus, in the moment. And one of the things we do is we check with the doctor every round to make sure we're on the same page. The doctor might see something that we're not seeing, and he's going to let us know, hey, I'm worried about so-and-so. But also the commission will give us some quick heads up on things that they're not happy with. Well, in this case, I wanted to see what was going on with Smith. So between rounds, and let me back up and say this too. It's in the old days, a referee, when he wanted to stop a fight, could just stop a fight and go like this, I've seen enough. And nobody questioned him, But now with instant replay and everybody in the whole arena's got a camera, it's not good enough to just do that and say that anymore. So you have to be more ingenuitive, and you have to educate the crowd to let them know what's coming. So I wanted to make sure that Joe wanted to be there, and I wanted to make sure his corner understood where me and the doctor were coming from. So in between rounds, I called time. I brought the doctor into the ring, called time, walked over, told the corner, hey guys, I've called time. You'll have your full minute rest period with Joe. We just want to talk to him. And the doctor and I talked to him on camera. I didn't know it was on camera, but it ended up being on camera. And Max Kellerman and Jim Lampley picked up on it. And what was interesting, they were seeing the same thing about Joe Smith that I was seeing.
And he commented on it.
And they commented on it, which educated the crowd that this is not the normal Joe Smith. So when I finally did pull the plug, nobody was complaining that we stopped the fight too quick, if that's what you were referencing.
Yes. And at the same time, they educated the fans that were watching on TV, but you educated the fans that were in the ring. They could clearly see you're questioning, you're questioning the corner. Maybe they couldn't hear the actual words, but they could see what's the ref doing.
And I'm gonna add to that.
Yeah.
I get a lot of old school referees, or a lot of referees that were taught by old school guys who have said, sitting next to me at a fight, or came up and said to me, that referee should have stopped that fight. The corner shouldn't have stopped it. And I go, shut the fuck up. And I go, he did stop the fight. And the guy go, what do you mean? I go, did you see him go into the corner before he stopped that fight? He put it in those corner men's head that he's getting close and they better stop it or he's going to stop it. And he gave those corner men a conscience, and those corner men or women worked with the referee. And it's not that they stopped it before he did. The ref had a great part in stopping it. Something that I would say to the guy that you didn't do in your day.
That's
We work in conjunction with these guys. We have a relationship with them that we develop throughout the years, but also in the dressing room, which we tell them in the dressing room, if I don't like what I'm seeing, I'm going to tell you, and you know him better than me, you better help me get this guy out of there. And that's what that's all about.
And that goes with Providence versus Diaz. When Diaz got the cut and it was just a minor cut, was he asking, get me out of here? You're seeing the video right now.
Oh, no.
He got it
Gamiel Diaz?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
And this is where you fans got to know our job is to keep the fighter safe, keep him, if he wants to get out of it, sometimes they're not going to say. How many fighters have you seen, Jack, say, stop this fight, bro, stop this fight?
Very few.
You know what I mean? So Diaz was, good fighter in his time, but he was complaining about a little cut. And he was like just exaggerating every little bump, every little punch, and trying to, beg you to get him out of there, and you finally did.
So what the fans don't know,
and they're watching it right now.
What the fans might not understand is these are kids. These are young men, and they're human, just like anybody else. But they have a lot of pride, and they won't say, I'm done, take me out of the fight, I can't take anymore. So they start changing the things they're doing, and one of the things they do is they start complaining to us about the other guy. Oh, he hit me behind the head. Oh, that was a low blow. Or I'm getting headbutts. And when the more they start complaining, the more we know that they're trying to get out of the fight. And in this case, I had done Gamiel Diaz quite a few times before that. Additionally, Gamiel went from a up-and-coming contender to an opponent.
Yes.
His career had changed. He had a string of losses. And he, for lack of better terms, maybe he was there for a payday. Maybe he thought he could win. I don't know. But they're not giving their full effort of what we've seen in the past.
But with that said, Jack, sorry, excuse me for interrupting. With that said, you see it in the tape, fans. Jack tells his cornerman, he's on TV. Is this the way he wants to be seen?
Yes, exactly.
And you know what? It encouraged him to fight. And if he's going to go out, he's going to go out with a bang.
But additionally, his corner people were either not on board with me, or really didn't care about him, or didn't even understand.
It happens, huh?
Maybe they were there for a payday too, but it demonstrated to me maybe they didn't care about this guy, but we have to care about this guy. And when it got to a point where because could no longer win mathematically and wasn't really competitive anymore, we got him out, stopped the fight.
Yes.
But it wasn't over the cut. The cut was meaningless.
Yeah, and you pointed that out.
I don't even, yeah.
And one of the fights I wanted to talk to, and I'm going to show it right now, guys, Ward versus Rodriguez. Now, this is the funny part, I guess, because I know Jack.
Funny for you.
Yeah. Jack's New York came out of him when he's scolding Rodriguez about, hey, cut this crap out. You know what I mean? You see the hands out there? That's all New York, man. But they were roughhousing, pretty much just roughhouse it, and they end up hitting you.
Well, there's a little bit more to the backstory. So Rodriguez came in 10 pounds overweight for that fight, which demonstrates to guys like us, he had no intention of ever making the weight. He probably felt that I could beat him if I'm heavier.
If I'm heavy.
I won't win the title, but I'll beat Ward and I'll get bigger fights later
Exactly.
on. So he was 10 pounds overweight, and they were pissed. They had real disdain for each other. In fact, when I walked into the arena that night, as soon as I walked in, the promoter hit me up and said, Jack, this is turning into a shit show. And I said, okay, let me just put my stuff down. I'll listen. And then I took I walked 40 yards to go to the commission room to put my stuff down, and someone from Rodriguez's camp came out and was complaining. So I knew there was a lot of tension. And when I went into the dressing room to give both of them instructions, it was the most tense dressing rooms I can remember going into. Both of them were so angry. They were as quiet as a mouse. There wasn't even music playing, which there normally is.
Yeah.
You know, there was no laughter. There was nothing, which we normally see when a fighter's ready to go. He's relaxed, and it wasn't like that. And they came out, and in those first 3 rounds, it was like 2 kids in a playground fighting. There was no professional boxing in this. It was just ugly. And Ray, it was the main event on HBO world title fight. They really were acting out of anger and frustration, and it was spiraling out of control. And what happened is they got into a clinch, like for the 50th time in 3 rounds, and I kept breaking them. But they got into this clinch where Rodriguez had Ward in a guillotine, and I said, stop. And instead of stopping, Rodriguez chose to start walking backwards, and he was lifting his left arm, choking Ward. And I was saying, stop, as I'm moving in. And Ward took matters in his own hands, which I can't blame him. He started throwing punches over the top. So I literally jumped on Ward and tried to spin him off, and I got clipped with a left hand by Rodriguez. And I was an old man at the time, so it kind of buzzed me a little bit. But then I do want to say something I'm very proud of, and I don't even know if you know it. And all the time I worked in all those fights, I never disqualified a fighter ever.
No?
Well, never disqualified a fighter. My mindset was, I want to get this fight to a natural conclusion if I can. And I'm going to work with them just like I would, with my children. I'm going to give them every opportunity. But if I have to come down on points, everybody's going to realize that, it was a good point to take away. And the same thing with disqualification. And I never had to disqualify anybody. In this case, it got so ugly that it wasn't a fight. And then I got hit, and I needed a couple seconds to regain my composure. I put them in both corners, took 2 points from each guy, and told the commission to fine them, which he did. Andy Foster, our executive officer, fined both of the fighters. And then I brought them to center, and they say, look, guys, if you keep this shit up, you're getting disqualified, no one's getting paid.
And again, when I seen you telling Rodriguez, it's like all the New York came out of Jack there, told it like it is, told him like it was, and set the ground rules, and it went to a natural conclusion.
And it was a much better fight. It went the whole 12 rounds. Ward won easily because his boxing skills were greater than Rodriguez's and stuff like that. And the funny part about it is, I don't know, a year or 2 later, you and me and Tom, we were all there. We're working a fight at the StubHub Center, and Edwin Rodriguez was on the card that night. So I was going out doing my normal thing, giving my pre-fight instructions, and I went to check the ring, and I'm coming back through the tunnel.
Yeah.
And I look up, and Rodriguez is walking towards me, and I hadn't seen him since I, took the money from him and all that stuff. And I go, okay, man, just maintain your composure. If this gets ugly, be professional. And I'm saying to myself, but also the other side of me was, I ain't taking shit from this guy, you know what I mean? And he comes walking up to me, and he's got a stern face, and we look at each other. He goes, hey, man, I want my money back. And I said, commission's got it. We gave each other a hug, and I wished them luck. And
they know it's in the heat of the moment.
Yeah. And they knew they were doing what they were doing. And Edward Rodriguez, I ran into last year. I was teaching at a seminar in Boston, and he took the class. He became a state trooper in Boston.
Wow.
And he's trying to get into refereeing and judging, and he took a class, and it was great seeing him. He's got a beautiful girlfriend, probably getting married, and he's doing great.
Wow.
He still got his marbles, man.
That's right. So, hey, Jack, what do you feel about instant replay? For the reason I bring that, because this next video is going to be Franco versus Maloney. Yes.
We're all excited about.
Now, let's be honest.
No.
Us as men, don't, in a sense, don't question my authority. Don't question me. But that says again a lot about Jack, that, you know what, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And you know what, you allowed it to be instant replay in that particular fight.
Well, it was interesting. It was in Oklahoma,
Yeah.
and I got sent there to do that rematch. I was very fortunate to be able to go do it. And the commissioner, Joe, that executive officer, said, hey, we're going to try instant replay for the first time. And he says,
is that right?
he says to me and Gary Ritter, he goes, you guys figure it out. Just like that. And me and Gary figured it out, it was great. So Gary was sitting as the replay officer, so I was very confident and stuff like that. But really, as you know, and I want the fans to know, we are human. We are human. Right. Sometimes the fighters are moving in such a way where their backs are towards us, we're moving around them. We miss headbutts, we miss low blows, we'll miss a punch that put them down, or a foot that they got tripped on because we were too close. Things like that are normal, they happen. And what I learned over the years by watching is that the fans won't get mad at us if we make a mistake, if we're able to correct it and get it right. So I had no skin in the game. I just wanted to get it right. And when Franco and Maloney both threw punches at the same time, and I was just over the left shoulder of Maloney, so all I saw was the right punch go past and Franco drop, and I thought it was a knockdown.
Yeah.
So, but I sent Maloney to the neutral corner, and as I picked up the count, and Franco was already on his way up, and the first thing he said to me, he goes, I slipped. So I said, no problem. I said, 4, no problem. We'll go to replay. 5.
Yeah.
And I told Gary, go to replay. And we finished the round. I said to everybody, hold your cards. Went over to Gary. Gary goes, the punch missed, no replay. The interesting thing is, for the fans, 2 things. All the commentators thought it was a right hand that landed, and they're watching it too.
They complimented you.
I appreciate that, but what I'm saying is, anyone could miss it sometimes, the way things happen. And then when it was over, even though I had made a mistake, everybody was happy because we got it right. So to answer your question, I think replay is one of the most valuable tools we could get in boxing, and I wish everybody would do it. Every other professional sport uses it, and I wish that every commission would get it, because the fans understand we're human.
Yeah, and they deserve it as
and
well.
they just want to get it right. Well, because there's people betting on it too. So,
well, I mean, Jack had told this to all of us when he schools us. You got to remember, there's a guy that's spending his hard work, earned money, and he might be in the cheap seats. And you know what? He wants a fair, even fight. You know what I mean? So they deserve it. And I think it should be used in every fight.
Yep.
That'd be cool if they did.
I don't know an instance where it's hurt anybody.
You know what I mean?
Russell Mora came up with this quote, and I love it. The commentators are using instant replay against us. We need to use it for us, and it's a great thing. So if it can help us and support us and make it right, it's best for boxing. We should do it.
I'm gonna say I made that one up.
You gotta know, for 6 times you have to give Russell credit. The 7th time it's mine. After that, it's yours. That's the rule. That's the rule.
All right, here's another one. What's the big deal on the Trout Hernandez fight when Trout throws him? I mean, what's the big deal, man? Just get up, man. You know what I mean? Or let it happen. You know what I mean? But as a referee, And again, this is where Jack schools us. And let's be honest, guys. Well, I'm going to be honest. I've been a referee since 1998. The only one I've ever really took advice from is you. And then now in our later years, and Tom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anybody else, I'm not saying I don't take advice, but I trust their word, even when it hurts. Because Jack, again, being from New York, he doesn't pamper us, you know what I mean? He tells us, like,
I don't think I've been brutal. I think I've been just straightforward and say, what do you think it is? You know what I mean?
I'm still going to tell the John Bray story. Okay. John Bray. No, he's brutal, bro. He's like a father that's very, he's going to tell you like it is, you know? But let's talk about that Trout Hernandez fight.
So, Joey Hernandez, good guy, real nice guy, out of the ring and stuff like that, was brought there against Austin Trout. And like we know, that night, you know, he was trying to win and everything, but he was the opponent. Trout was the up-and-coming, you know, champion and all that stuff. And it was very evident pretty clearly, pretty early, that Trout was a more skilled fighter than him. And he was getting frustrated. Yeah. He was looking for a way out.
Yeah.
And he was claiming to me beautiful punches right on the belt line, low blow, and all kinds of stuff. And I said, no, keep fighting. It's a good shot. Keep going. And he got frustrated and he was looking for a way out. And he grabbed Trout underneath the leg and over the shoulder, lifting him up. Yeah. But the interesting thing is, if a lot of people are drinking beer, even, you know, our bosses and the inspectors and stuff, they got other things in their mind. They're looking around. They're not really focused on really what's happening like we are. And I watched him pick him up, but he didn't throw him. He rolled him down nice and gently, and Trout did a rollout and came right back up. So what did I have? I had no harm, no foul, right?
Yeah.
I had a foul, but there was no harm involved. Trout was fine. So what am I going to take 2 points and get that guy more frustrated? Then he's going to do something to hurt him.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to slow things down. I called time, sent Trout to the neutral corner, went over to him, said, "You all right?" Everything goes, "Yeah, I'm fine." I went over and I ripped Hernandez a new ass verbally, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was trying to calm him down as well. And then I only took 1 point from him instead of taking 2. If I would have taken 2 with the rounds he lost prior to that, he would have had no hope. I would have taken all of his hope away.
Yeah.
And once they got no hope, they got nothing to lose. So I tried 1 point, and then before that next round ended, he went down and I waved it off. So we didn't have a terrible incident because I still gave him hope, and he had to find a way out for himself, and that's how it worked out. And he's a good guy too. His father's a great guy. Works for the WBO.
And with all this praising, Jack, all this praising, and I think you're the best referee in the world.
Thank you.
Let's talk about
how much do I owe you for that?
Let's talk about the ugly side. You know what I mean? I love Joe Rogan, but he was interviewing Wilder on there, and he pretty much said that you gave Tyson a long count.
Joe Rogan's not the only one. You know, like there's this. Listen.
Well, Max Kellerman and what's his name? The African American guy.
Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah, yes. He corrected himself because Max says, "Well, you were saying that Jack Reese gave it." He goes, "No. After watching the video, I see Jack gave him." But did you hear that Joe Rogan Wilder interview?
Oh, of course.
How did you feel about that?
Well, I didn't like it, but I got to tell you something. First of all, I have the utmost respect for Joe Rogan. I mean, what he's accomplished in his life, and plus...
That's my goal, guys, be the Chicano Joe Rogan.
What he's accomplished in his life, and his viewpoints are in line with mine. I think in this case, honestly, there's 2 things that happen, okay? The ringside physicians taught us, and you remember this, let the fans know. So when Ray and I first started, we were taught by some of the great guys, Marty Denkin, Lou Filippo, James Jenkins, Pat Russell, all these guys, on how to handle things. And on a knockdown, we were told, get them up, ask them if they're okay, wipe their gloves, and let them go. And as the years went by, a ringside physician said, you know, to test them to see if they can intelligently defend themselves, you got to start making them walk to you to see how they walk. Just like a police officer does when someone they suspect being drunk or on drugs. But then in the later years, and this really started happening around 2017, the ringside physicians taught us, hey, it's not enough to make a guy walk to you straight to really test if his brain, his different lobes of his brain are communicating with each other, you got to make him turn. You got to make him turn his body. It takes more cognitive function. So make him walk to the right or make him walk to the left. So here we are now in 2018, and I didn't, the way I do it, I picked up from Eric Dolly in New York, the referee in New York. I used to do it a different way, and I saw Eric doing it, and I called him up on the phone. I said, Eric, that was beautiful. Can you tell me more about why you're doing it that way? And I started doing it the way Eric does it. Unfortunately for Eric, I was on TV more than him, and that fight with
Honestly,
Wilder,
no disrespect to Eric. I took that from you.
because I'm on TV more, and you see me more.
Props to you, Eric, though.
But so in Joe Rogan's defense, as well as the other people that thought I gave him too much time, it was really on the first major fight on HBO or Showtime that the technique of making the fighter walk to the right or to the left was used. So people didn't understand what they were looking at. I had a sanctioning body president tell me I took too much time, and that same sanctioning body now has it written in their rule book to make them walk to the right or left. So my point is, anytime there's new ideas, you're going to get criticized for it, but then it turns around a couple of years later, and they start using it. But Joe Rogan, in my opinion, he didn't understand. Number one, it was something brand new. Number two, but number three, is he going to want me on the show, or is he going to want the heavyweight champ of the world on his show on a repeated basis? So he might have been leaning towards Deontay to get Deontay back.
Yeah.
But Joe Rogan wasn't rude to me
he
or
wasn't
anything like that.
No.
But he didn't understand. But look, now, let me say this about making people walk to the right or left. It's in the ABC guidelines.
Listen to this, fans, because you guys are always questioning that. Oh, it was a 10 count, but then you gave him more.
It's written in many commissions, rules and regulations and guidelines for what we're supposed to do. It's in the ABC referees manual that on concussive knockdowns, when you're not sure of the fighter's ability to intelligently defend himself, make him walk to the right or left after he answers a few questions. Because we don't want to send wounded prey out to a wolf or a tornado coming across that ring. And that's one of the ways that boxing has changed and has become safer over the years. And I've showed you, Ray, and I got old videos where they wipe the gloves, let them go, and 95% of the guys get knocked out right in the next sequence. It's better now. It's safer now.
Yeah. Well, with that said, Jack, they honored Jack at the California State Athletic Commission meeting on December 9th. Was it 9th or 19th?
9th.
And I only heard it on Zoom, but I didn't get it. But you had a very great speech, if that's the way you say it. Thanking all the people. But what's the downside of your career that maybe you missed out on? I heard in that speech about how you missed out on some birthdays, and so it's not all glory, and you know what I mean? Sometimes you got to make decisions, and all in all, from what I know, you got 2 great sons, a beautiful wife. You did well for yourself, but there was obviously some down times that you wish you could change. If you want to, if you care to tell the fans.
So I'm preaching to the choir because you experienced it, and what the fans don't understand is a lot of things regarding this. Boxing refereeing doesn't pay a lot of money, but if you love this sport and you have a passion for this sport, you're blessed to do it. It's like having a mistress. It's like having a mistress on the outside or a girlfriend on the outside. If you're a guy.
Oh, the wife, Arlene, just got up.
Yeah, she got up. She's getting ready. In the sense that it takes you away from your family, your wife for sure, but then your kids on family functions, during emergencies. I was out of town when my kid broke his wrist, when my wife broke her elbow, when my kid got stitches, a million things at boxing matches. And what am I going to do? We only had 2 refs that night. I had to stay. My wife's a very strong woman. She took care of it. But I can't tell you how many of my close friends, I missed their daughters' weddings, or I missed important functions for them for boxing. And it really, a big part of our lives, but there's nothing free. There's a big price to pay with being a ref, because, like, when they choose you, you can't turn down that assignment, because they'll move on and they forget about you. So
that's right.
I just I appreciate everything Josephine allowed me to do. Like, you appreciate everything Arlene allows you to do, and it's just something that we love doing, and there's no other way to describe it.
So it's fair to say it wasn't all, fun and games, and sometimes you came back from a fight feeling a little guilty, or even going to a fight.
And it naturally it creates arguments between you and your wife, especially if you walk in the house, you're high as a kite because you had such a great fight. You were in the middle of this thing and people are all praising you and talking to you like you're somebody important. And then you walk home and your wife says, now, you might be that guy last night, but now go pick up the dog shit and take out the trash.
Right.
And it's like, so from feeling really high and good, you're back down to reality, right, Arlene? So
The shovel's at the door.
you betcha, man.
That's right.
So there's a lot, the wives pay a big price, but on the other hand, you're very proud of us,
Very proud of
you guys. So it's a yin and yang, man. It's a nice balance between. There are a few things I regret that I wish I would have done and given up a fight. But I can't take it back. I did what I did. My wife still loves me, still with me 42 years, and my kids are proud of me. I'm okay with it.
Yes.
And I'm trying to make up for it now.
That's right. So with that said, in your retirement as a referee, is just strictly judging now?
Judging, and hopefully I spoke to our executive officer as well as the commission that day. I was up in Sacramento.
Yeah, and I was going to bring that up
and
right
Mark Relier, let me say this, we got the best commission in the world, and you don't know that unless you work here and you travel other places. Bar none. We are a team that takes care of us when we're in the ring. Any problems, these guys jump on it and make our ability to focus on these two lives of these two fighters way better than other places.
I think that's credit to Mark Relia.
Absolutely.
His inspectors, they're just on top of everything. Andy Foster, he could have dinner with you, and if you drop the ball in the ring, believe me, you ain't gonna work. You will eventually work, but you ain't gonna work. You know what I mean?
Andy Foster has gotten the Commission of the Year or Executive Officer of the Year award for 9 years in a row, and this wasn't a friendship thing. He got it because he deserves it. He's clearly the best executive officer by the amount of fights that we get and we do successfully in California. And everything starts at the top and the way it runs down. And when Mark Relier, he gives Mark the power to empower those inspectors, and Mark makes sure they know their job. And I'm sure you agree. These guys help me in the ring when I have a problem. If one of the judges are having a problem with a photographer because he can't see this photographer being a jerk, I tell the inspector, he's all over it. We've had instances in the ring where a boom operator who's operating the camera puts the boom over the rope and the camera's in the ring and it's hit referees in the head. It's actually grazed a fighter one time. And I told the inspector ran up to the guy and told the guy, hey, you can't do that. You're not allowed to do that here in California. And that boom operator said, I don't work for you. I work for ESPN or whoever it was he was working for. It wasn't ESPN. And that guy went back and told Mark, and Mark said, you don't know but you do work for me, and you're done. That guy's never worked here ever again.
Right.
He had to go before the commission, write a letter of apology, and when he comes back now, he's like a little mouse with his tail between his legs.
Right.
But they don't understand. We got the safety of
and we've been complimented by officials all over the world how California is just tight and just how they run things.
And I want to tell you what it is.
Professionals.
They hold us to a higher standard.
That's right.
Andy and Mark, the way they nitpick every little thing we do, it's not to criticize us. It's to make us better, to do it different the next time. And Mark does the same thing with his inspectors. Everything can go great, and they'll tell us what we did wrong. They'll tell us, you did a great job, but. And that's
right.
okay. It holds us to a higher standard.
And I've said it many times before, guys. This is probably like 6-7 years ago. Andy Foster had said us at a training center, if you bring shame or embarrassment to California, you will not work. You will not work. And you know what?
I think it's important for me to say this. at the last meeting, not only does Andy Foster say you better not bring shame to this commission in your actions, he let every one of us know at the last fight. He closed the door after the fight and had us in a room.
It's crazy.
And he said that he is tired of the dissension. We have a few guys that, gals, guys, whatever you want to call it, that aren't on board and aren't part of the team. And he told us that he will never go back to the way it was with that dissension. In fact, he wants our camaraderie. We have a good camaraderie between the guys that I don't want to mention and stuff like that right now, too long to mention. We have a good bunch of people that work together to help each other. And anybody creating dissension for the California State Athletic Commission, when it comes to that member and camaraderie, he's getting rid of that member. So everybody should be on notice. If you come to California, act accordingly. And if you work here in California, be professional, act accordingly.
I've always been, whether I was state raised or not, I always had this thought, and I've told Tom, I've told you, Jack shines, I shine.
Absolutely.
Jack looks bad, I look back. So you know what, we encourage each other. This is why when a good referee, when he gets out of the ring, whether it's a 4-rounder or a 12-rounder, gets out and comes up to Jack or Tom, our mentors, and tells us, we ask them, is there anything I could have done better? And Jack will tell you like it is, man. And again, sometimes it kind of hurts, but I'm glad he does it because he keeps me accountable. He keeps all the officials accountable, and Tom. And now that he's retired, he'll probably be even that much more. And I'm talking to the commission now. I hope you give him that job as an instant replay. Who better to do it than Jack? You know what I mean? Who better to do it? Honestly, you can't give it to a young official. You got to give it to our senior officials. And again, it broke my heart that you retired, Jack, but that's your call, and I wish you the best. And
appreciate it. And I hope I hope that Andy and Mark and the commission do institute that IRO.
Yeah.
Because it'll be great for California. It's great for boxing, and I don't have a cross to bear with anybody in that ring. I'll help anybody. Look, I was taught from my mom, and I was taught on the LA Fire Department. You're a team. You help each other. You work together. You make each other better. And I was also taught that if I use my candle to light your candle, my candle don't get diminished. So I always help anybody who asks for help.
He does.
And because I'm not in competition with anybody else, all I got to do is be the best I can be, and then let God handle the rest.
That's right.
That's the way I've always been. And
I mean, a few years back, shame on me. You know, my wife would always tell me I was constantly, why ain't I getting this? Why ain't I getting that? And you know what? I would call Jack, and you know, honestly, I'd wanted Jack to say, "Oh, you're getting effed around," but he'd just go, "Ray, just keep your, you know, the way he talks, keep your effing mouth shut and keep doing good, and your time will come."
And it did.
And it did.
And it did.
And it did.
And it's still here, and it's still
I
coming.
mean it, and I thank God for that. I really do. I thank God, Jack, that you are always there for
I
me.
appreciate you too, and we've had a lot of fun together. We've helped each other grow in life and in the ring and stuff like that, and I appreciate the friendship big time. Let me tell you.
And you
Whoever thought, man, you and I would end up being great friends.
really? But just to end this, I just want to again say, Jack, I love you like a brother, man, and I wish you all the best. And if you ever come back, you ever want to come back, man, do another interview. I'm saying.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Don't come back to be a referee, then I don't get a fight. But anyways, no, I'm joking.
Well, look, I love you like a brother too,
You know
and
what I mean?
you know I've always loved you, and I've always showed.
Yeah. He's always
since
been
day
there.
one. I've always been
Real quick,
fan of Ray Corona. All right.
real quick. 2016, I was suspended for 1 year. My fault. I take full responsibility. It was Jack and Tom that stepped up when without boxing, I really thought I was going to get back into I love my wife, and don't get me wrong, I love my wife, my family, but boxing was my outlet. And I really felt without boxing, who's to say I won't get back into the street? Like, that's how stupid my mentality at the time was. But my wife goes, keep praying, babes, keep praying.
Thank you, Arlene.
I needed 2 witnesses to get my license back, and nobody wanted to come up. Jack and Tom stepped up, and I'll never forget that. And in my way of growing up, it's who stands by you when you really need them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
When you need help,
When you need help,
alone you are.
You know what I mean? Exactly.
And the fans should know, it's funny, when you screw up in the ring and you get out, it's funny, man. You've never felt more alone in your life. You feel like you got leprosy. People get away from you.
yeah.
They don't want to know you. It's weird, man.
Why? Has that happened to you?
Yeah, man. You kidding me? Of course.
I know. I don't know.
Yeah,
You
of
screwed
course.
it up, you know?
Well, not by you, but believe me, it's happened.
Yeah. Have you ever fallen in the ring?
Oh,
Hey,
Arlene,
why
I'm really
why
glad you
bring
brought that up.
I have.
Arlene,
I just felt like we had to bring that up.
I have.
I'm so glad you brought it up. So, like I said, I never disqualified anybody. I've never fallen in the ring. In the whole,
I have. Man.
it goes to show you what I try to tell you, man. No, there's a couple things I'm proud of. I'm proud that all the guys that got in the ring went home safe to their family.
Yeah, thank God.
Never disqualified anybody. Never fell. Got hit a bunch of times. And I don't know if this has happened to you, and I don't know if Ray has told you, but it's the weirdest thing. I got hit in the face, I got hit in the shoulders and things like that. But you always end up getting hit when guys are going at the end of the round or they're not breaking clean and you get between them, their arms drop and you get hit right in the huevos, man, right?
Yeah.
It's like they got a target on them. It's the weirdest thing. I've gotten hit there a bunch of times.
So with that said, Jack, is there anything you want to tell the fans, please?
No, I just I want to say thank you guys for listening to Ray's podcast. We have a lot of fun together, and he's doing a great job.
Can you tell them, are you going to have your Soul Arbiter class still?
Yes, of
Can
course.
you tell the fans?
So,
But real quick, this doesn't guarantee if I go to your class, Joe Blow,
great.
that's what I really want to point out.
Okay. So, by demand, a few years back, people were calling me and asking me, hey, I had this fight, could you look at it? And let me back up and say this. I'm very fortunate. I'm one of the guys that's a certified boxing referee trainer for the Association of Boxing Commissions. So I've been asked to do seminars for the WBC, the IBF, the WBO multiple times, and commissions around the country and around the world. So I've got to see a lot of people, get to know them on a first name basis. And those people were frequently sending me videotapes of themselves and asking, what could I have done better here? What happened here? What do you think? And by seeing that so much, by demand, I said, maybe we ought to put a school together. And Big John McCarthy everybody knows Big John McCarthy,
MMA
world. He had the same experience in the MMA world, and he started a school, and it was very successful. And he was doing it up in Vancouver, and they asked him to do the same thing for boxing. He said, no, that's not for me for boxing, but I got a guy for you. And he goes, Jack. And he said to me, you want to do this? I said, hell yeah, I want to do it. And he gave me his format on this 3-day program, and I turned it into a boxing program. So let me explain this. In John's class, or in our class, it's called Soul Arbiter Elite Boxing Referee Training. And this 3-day course does not certify you to take this course, attend it, pass any kind of test we give you, and all of a sudden you're a referee. It takes years to become a referee. What this course does will give you an unbelievable foundation on proper mechanics that you might not have gotten in your jurisdiction or where you live, because the people you worked with might not have had those understandings of fundamentals. But I guarantee you it'll give you levels and levels and levels of higher levels and levels in boxing of understanding what you look at. A beginner someone who doesn't understand art might look at a bunch of pictures and think they all look the same, where an art aficionado will look at the differences and say, oh my God, this is beautiful and this is beautiful, and he'll see the differences between the photos. No difference than a guy who really smokes a lot of cigars and can tell the difference between a good cigar and a cheap cigar. Well, it's no different with a referee. I show videos in the class, we show videos in the class all the time, and it's amazing how many people don't see what's right in front of them, and then the experienced ones do. And what we do in Soul Arbiter is teach you how to recognize the nuances, what's really happening in front of you, and you transfer that to ring, and you learn how to see what's in front of you. You will get better and better and better and better, and you become an aficionado in boxing refereeing. It takes work. It's a lot of work. But no way, shape, or form does this 3-day class automatically certify you to be a referee. This is to invest in yourself to become better.
That's right. And that class should be coming up in next summer.
I apologize. Thank you for throwing that in there. So we try to do it every Labor Day so people don't have to take that extra day off of work. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This year, it'll be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, August 29th, 30th, 31st. We recommend everybody comes in on the day before, the night before. This class starts very early on the 29th, and you could leave the Sunday after the class, in an evening flight, get home to where you got to be, still have Monday off because it's Labor Day. And I guarantee you'll walk away with at least 100 takeaways that would have taken you years to get by trial and error or asking your mentors and stuff like that. And it'll improve your skills tremendously.
And with that said, guys, I encourage you to sign up early for the simple fact this last class I went and it was a full class, 60 people, no?
63. We had to turn down people. In fact, we had we didn't allow everybody to get in the ring on the 3rd day because the class was full, and those who signed up late were not allowed to get in the ring. We just didn't have the room for them.
And believe me, guys, nobody's gonna embarrass you. If you're already a referee, nobody's gonna oh man, what the hell were you No. Well, Jack does talk like that, but the other guys will tell you, hey, bro, what were you thinking there? They give you scenarios, and I'm clowning, but they give you scenarios, guys, where you walk away and it got you thinking, now I see what I could have done right, or could have done wrong, or could have done better.
And we show you how to practice that properly with the proper mechanics. And then you go home and you build your repertoire. You build tools in your tool chest. And again, if you want to find out more about the class, again, it's going to be August 29th, 30th, 31st in Las Vegas. Go to
Same place again?
Yeah. Go to soularbiter.com. SOLEARBITER.com. It's taught by myself and world-class world championship referees, Tom Taylor, who everybody probably knows on this thing, as well as Russell Mora. Look at his resume and the fights he did the last 5 years of his career, and Ed Calantis, who's got a brilliant business mind and brings some stuff to the teaching that I can't bring. He really does the charts and stuff that he does in his way of looking at stuff. So we got a good group of guys, and we even let Ray bring us water in between. So.
Another thing to mention is women are welcome.
Oh my God.
That's right.
We had 5 female officials there this last class. If you're an official, please come. Men, women, it doesn't matter.
And it's fun, guys. You have a good time. You meet people from all over the world. And I encourage you, if you want to be a referee, or you could be a fan and just want to know what we're thinking in there, come. You know what I mean?
You know what? Thank you. I forgot to mention that as well. We had 3 people in this class that just wanted to get a real boxing experience and spent 3 days in the class, never had an intention of being a ref or a judge, just loved the sport. And they walked away from this thing. They said, their minds were blown away. I got letters and emails. And you guys can go to the website and look at some of the testimonials that we got. And if you call me or personally, email, whatever, I'll give you recommendations from females that were in the class as well as males that were in the class. We do, like Ray said, we do not hammer you or embarrass you. We teach you. We help you help yourself.
Remember, guys, I think Jack said this in the last, every referee in the world, when they look bad, they use the same brush on us. So you go to this class, it's all nothing but encouragement and schooling, and it's an awesome camaraderie there, and it's a great class, guys. Hey, but I just want to put Jack again on it. How about the commentators? Are they still welcome?
Yes. So we've put out
real quick. Why do we want our commentators to go?
Okay, Ray, he's on. What'd you give him today? Coffee or something? He's doing great. All these questions,
you know what I mean?
That I'm forgetting. I'm impressed. All the things I'm forgetting, you're doing great at. So we have put out quite a few invitations to legitimate boxing writers and commentators. We've had a few take us up on it, and we're going to invite a bunch more because we want them to come to the class to understand what the rule set that we use and why we're making the decisions we're making in the ring, so they'll be better educated to better educate the fans and elevate boxing. So we're going to invite them again. We'll invite the different commentators and boxing writers again. I'm hoping to get Dan Raphael this year. We had Brock Bess and Karen Tate and other people come, and Michael Rosenthal came already, former editor of Ring Magazine. We're going to invite Doug Fisher, the current editor of Referee Magazine, and others that I'm too long to mention right now. Sergio Mora, Chris Mannix, Todd Grisham, all those guys. We're all going to invite them so they can make boxing better.
Amen. Well, hey, Jack, I just want to thank you for coming on. And we'll definitely do this again, brother.
Hey, anytime, man.
You guys see him at the fights? Come up and talk to him, guys.
But not when I'm sitting judging.
Yeah, not when he's judging. All right, guys. God bless.
Jack Reese, I want to congratulate you on your retirement from refereeing. Obviously, you're still going to be with us. You're still going to be judging. You're still going to be training, and you're still going to be the gatekeeper for all of our young referees, and you're still going to be coaching the referees up that are working. Congratulations on your retirement.
Jack Reese, salute my brother, one of the best referees out there. I just want to say that I love you, brother. Thank you for everything you've done for boxing. Happy retirement.
I'm sending this message to Mr. Jack Reese, congratulating him on an amazing career in boxing. He's going to be missed. Everyone knows he was my favorite referee.
Hey, what's going on, Jack? Tim Bradley. Hey, man, I'm here to congratulate you on your retirement, man, from the sport of boxing. I just want to say you're going to be well missed. I appreciate your dedication to the sport that I love, all your hard work over the years. But I just want to say, my man, congratulations.
The one and only, thanks for everything you've done for the sport of boxing, but also just for me. When I was a young broadcaster, I remember talking to you, you gave me some really good advice. Wish you the best in retirement.
Congratulations, man. Talk about an amazing career. I'm so excited that I've had the chance to learn from you and that I'm going to get to continue to learn from you, hopefully for many more years. Nobody's done it better. Nobody's done it longer, man. You killed it.
Jack, we go way back to the early 2000s when you, Pat Russell, Marty Dinkin, Lou Filippo used to referee our Cops versus LAFD fights. Thank you for everything you do for boxing. Thank you for training me up to be a referee. Thank you for all your tutelage. Thank you for always being available to discuss boxing scenarios with me. For that, words can't express how much I appreciate you.
Jackie boy, congratulations on having one hell of a career. I know you're retiring from the act of being a referee, but that's no big deal. You're going to still be part of the business. You're going to be out there judging, doing a great job. But congratulations on having just an unbelievable career.
Jack Reese, I wish you all the best in retirement. The sport is going to miss you, but you're not going to go too far because you're going to continue with your wonderful Soul Arbiter program where you prepare the next generation of referees, judges, and even broadcasters to be fair inside the ring. That's what characterized you over your 25 years as a referee, your big smile, and your heart with every one of the fighters who was in there with you. We appreciate all the work you've done. I know you're going to have a great time now that you're retired, but thank you for 25 plus years showing everyone else how it's supposed to be done.
Hey, what's up, Jack? Congratulations on an amazing career as a Hall of Fame boxing referee, brother. Love you, man. Got nothing but respect for you. You are the GOAT. You're the greatest boxing official ever.
Hey, Jack Reese, welcome to referee retirement. I mean, y'all retire too, just like fighters. So welcome to retirement. Have a great time in retirement. I mean, come on. Reese, it ain't too many of you. Come on. Retired.
It's funny because we almost grew up together. You and I in the sport of boxing. And you're an inspiration not only to other referees, but also to a lot of us promoters because you always did a great job. So wish you all the best in judging now. And I'll see you at the fights.
I have many memories with Jack. He refereed a lot of the big fights we had over the years. The sport's definitely going to miss you, man, that you are a great referee, and just want to wish you happy retirement and whatever else you choose to do in life, my man.
Thank you for all the great memories. Thank you for all the advice you've given me. Your work ethic has truly inspired me to be the best official I could be. I know you don't like all the praise, but you are truly one of the best referees to ever do it in the history of the sport.
Jack, I wanted to wish you a sincere congratulations on your retirement from reffing. Although you'll still continue to contribute to our sport as a judge, I know it was a difficult decision knowing your passion for reffing. So you're not actually retiring from boxing, and we'll continue to see you ringside judging and providing advice and mentorship to referees. Special thanks to Josephine. I realize it's a cliche that behind every successful man is a woman. This cannot be more true than with you and Josephine. So Josephine, on behalf of the boxing community, thank you for sharing Jack with us all these years and being patient with him being away.
Hey, Jack. Congratulations on your retirement and for being the absolute gold standard and one of the greatest referees to ever step into the ring. You are a legend, and you know you have been my favorite ref long before I met you. And I just wanted to thank you so much for always being so generous, not just with me, but so many others in sharing your time, your knowledge, and your experience in making us better. You are one of those rare people that elevate everyone around you, and you have left an indelible mark, not just on the sport of boxing, but on the hearts of so many.
What's up, Jack? This is Robert Garcia. Congratulations on your retirement. I wish you the best in the future. You were one of the best refs in the world. Just keep doing what you're doing. See you soon.
Jack Reese, congratulations on your amazing career. As the story goes, there's no overnight success. I know how hard you've worked, how much time you've dedicated to boxing, and it will always be appreciated. Jack, you've always just understood that it's not about the referee, it's about the fighters, it's about the fans, and what's in Jack Reese's quote, what's best for boxing. You've been an amazing friend. You've done some good things in boxing. Congratulations, and I'm looking forward to continued work with you with the Soul Arbiter.
Hey Jack, it's Tom. Just wanted to congratulate you on your recent retirement from refereeing and congratulate you on an outstanding career, not only in the ring, but outside the ring, and what you do for boxing to make boxing better and really to make all of us better as referees. It's going to be a little weird for the first year or so, seeing you sitting ringside in a suit and collecting scorecards from you. But I'm glad we're going to have you in the sport still, and I look forward to working with you on a lot more events. Thank you for everything you've done for me, for the sport of boxing, and everyone else that you touch in this sport. Sport's definitely better that you were in it. Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, just give me a minute. I got to do this thing for this old referee guy retiring. Oh, shoot. Hey, Jack, congratulations, man. It's been a long run. You've been a great mentor to many, and I'm sure you will be along the way for many generations to come. You are the bar. I tell you what, I've watched you for many years now, and I just really appreciate what you do, who you are, and of course the man you are. I think you're just a fantastic person, and you definitely have a gift of mentoring and leading, and I hope that continues in your next adventure in this crazy sport that we've made somewhat a passion career or a passion project, however you want to look at it. But I will miss sharing some time with you in the ring, but I know that there are still many fights to come where you'll be on the sidelines and taking on a different role in your new endeavors. So God bless you, take care, and thanks for all you've done.